Citroen's lineup of cars has increased impressively over recent years, taking in all different types of new models designed to broaden its appeal to a variety of different buyers. Now, its C3 Aircross was one of the first niche-busting models that it brought out, developing that kind of raised-up hatchback look that has now become really popular among buyers. Now, there's this new second-generation version, which hopes to bring some more premium feel, as well as a slightly more off-road ready design. Today, we're going to find out what else the C3 Aircross has to offer. Citroen has attempted to give the C3 Aircross a slightly more premium feel compared to the previous car. You might notice that on this car the air bumps have been taken away off the side, and instead we've got some nice chunky touches such as the revised bumpers and the more stylish front grille. Up top we've got this contrast roof which really helps to give that premium feel. Overall, it's been updated nicely without losing that sense of funkiness that the original car had. Citroen has worked hard to lift the level of technology that you're getting inside the Aircross, and that's why we've got this new 8-inch central touchscreen which incorporates your satellite navigation, your media functions, and it's got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto too. It's also got these advanced comfort seats which have loads of padding and are actually really comfortable. The ones in these cars are heated as well. Elsewhere, there are some scratchy plastics to be found, but Citroen has tried to brighten things up with some nice silver coloured elements which are dotted around the cabin and help to lift the overall feel of it. There are some ergonomic issues. This cup holder, for instance, when you do have a drink in it, makes it really difficult to raise or lower the handbrake without hitting your hand. That's something that just seems like a missed opportunity because you just put a decent sized cup holder and locate the handbrake somewhere else. So despite some small niggles which are dotted throughout the cabin, by and large things have been lifted and taken that little step further over the previous generation car. As you can see from the back seats of the Aircross, things are a little bit tight. Now the seat is in my position, I'm just under 6 foot, and as you can see my knees are a little bit tight, but I've got plenty of headroom. However, if you're going to have kids back here, they're going to be absolutely fine. And we've got ISOFIX points here as well for child car seats. The level of the fit and finish that you've got here as well is good. The seats mirror the ones up front, so they are comfortable and quite square. And we do have one charging port down here for one of your devices. Overall, it's a little bit low spec, but as I mentioned before, the fundamentals are here. It's relatively spacious, and you are going to have enough room to stretch out over long journeys. The C3 Aircross offers a decent amount of boot space. In fact, there's 410 litres there to play with the seats up, and you can increase that up to 1,289 litres with the seats down. The overall area is square and easy to access too. There's also an adjustable height floor, giving you a flexible loading option, and it means that if you need to, you can expand the size of the boot a little bit more.
Underneath the bonnet of the C3 is a 1.2 litre turbocharged 3-cylinder petrol engine with 109 brake horsepower. Now, Citroen claims that that's enough power to get the Citroen from 0 to 60 miles an hour in around about 10 seconds, which, by anyone's margins, is not electrifying, but more than enough for daily driving. Now, power is sent to the front wheels through a 6-speed manual gearbox that we've got in this car, and as we've come to expect from previous Citroens, the gearbox itself is relatively loose and a little bit indirect, but it's light and it's easy to use. You just can't rush it, particularly first and second gears. You really have to allow the car to drive itself and just allow those gears to seamlessly change rather than rushing them, which tends to make the whole car feel a little bit unsettled. One thing that this engine really focuses on though is efficiency, and with Citroen claiming that it'll be able to do around about 50 mpg combined, that means that your fuel costs really aren't going to be very much at all. And of course, something that we've come to expect from Citroens is ride quality. And in this area, the C3 Aircross does brilliantly well. We've not got a huge wheel, we've got a decent amount of tyre on this car. And combined with well-sorted suspension, it's a car that's actually really nice to drive, even on the UK's reasonably craggy roads. It doesn't knock about, it doesn't get jarred by large potholes or imperfections in the road. And though, of course, the byproduct of this is a little bit of lean, I think that's a compromise worth making in order to get a car that feels really comfortable and really settled to drive. At speed, we are getting a little bit of wind noise from this relatively upright windscreen, but by and large, it's a calm and quiet cabin. So that gives the C3 Aircross a multitude of abilities, not just around town when you might expect to see this type of car, but also on the motorway where, all right, this engine's not going to be as refined as a slightly larger one, but you are going to be able to use it for those long distance trips without having to deal with a car that's going to make you feel tired or weary. As you can probably hear on this slightly rougher surface, we are getting quite a bit of tyre noise too. But thankfully it's not too intrusive in the cabin. I think it's testament to how these small capacity engines have developed, in that because it's so cleverly turbocharged that it feels quite flexible. It doesn't feel like 109 brake horsepower, it feels like you've actually got a little bit more there than those figures would lead you to believe. And thankfully that steering, which is a little bit light when you're around town, but that's when you want it to be light, it does gain extra weight when you're travelling at higher speeds, and that gives the whole car a slightly more solid, planted feel.
Citroen has really raised the game with its new C3 Aircross. It's still got all those fundamentals of the original car, like that practical interior and a spacious layout, but it builds on that with more technology and a greater sense of premium feel than before. However, it's also still got great value for money on its side, which means that for a lot of buyers, this practical and spacious crossover will prove very appealing indeed.